Welcome to the Middleware Tech YouTube channel. In this series, you'll learn XML and JSON. All code examples used in the videos will be available on GitHub. Let's get started.
Architecture, then web application, application component. Then we talked about distributed environment communication using RMI and Corba. And talked about this one example. I'll come in details. Control X. So just how this flow came on. Implement distributed environment communication in XML web service. Then we should know more details on XML, more details on JSON. As you find the examples, I told you, I've given you example, right? If you see this example, that whatever the object you are going to use, that converted as an XML JSON. Whatever object you are going to use, converted as an XML JSON, right? And these XML JSONs are going to communicate with each other because it is providing a vendor independent communication, vendor independent standard of communication, right? So if I am to go to this, if I'm talking about distributed environment communication using XML web service, then we should know more on XML, should know more on JSON, right? Because in your XML web service communication, this XML and JSON files you have to use. So XML is used for your SOAP web service and JSON is used for your REST web service. If you have heard these names, right? I'll come all the things one by one. Fine. Okay. So what should be the next step? Next step is we should know some details on XML and some details on JSON. Then we should go to web service, right? So next, what I'll do is that we'll talk about some details on XML and JSON, right? And then we'll move with web service basic introduction, then web service communication, right? This is the flow. Okay, guys. So anyone want to add any one point, you can tell me based on the discussion. Just now we have done some basic discussion from layman's point of view. Anything anyone want to add?
So as you told that right now, Amazon Web Services or Azure is going in the fashion. So what about Java Web Services? Like it will go or disappear in the future?
Okay. Got your question. The thing is that Java Web Service that we are talking about, it is the root, because if you're talking about today Amazon Web Service or cloud, any cloud communication, those cloud communication is built using web service. Whatever services is defined in the Amazon cloud, whatever services defined inside Azure or Google Apps cloud, all are web service only. So if before going to there, we should know how web service work. So what we are talking about web service technicalities, A to Z in between, based on what those cloud environment is running, right? So if today, if we're going on the development environment, we are going with web service, fine. But when I'm talking about the next 10 years, how things will go on. If you are going to work today on AWS environment or Azure environment, we should know the basics on web service, everything. Then it will help you to move with those cloud environment very well, right? So this is the route, to move to the advanced side. So that's why. So if I'm going into this, either you can go the code development or you can go to this cloud environment, because huge resources are going next 10 years, huge resources are moving to AWS environment. Things are like this, that organization want their employees to be certified with AWS or in a digital cloud environment. Things are going not only throughout worldwide approach next 10 years. Right, so the things is like that. Now if you go in the cloud environment, everything is web service. All whatever you are going to use, each and every, they are using SOAP or REST. So we should know the core technicalities about SOAP and REST here, so that next we can go on to that environment, right?
Right.
So that's why we have our this curriculum.
Okay.
Yeah. So, guys, anyone want to add some more input? You can add. Okay, so let's move, right? So let's spend some time on XML and JSON. Spend some time here, and then we'll move to our web service. Okay, so on XML and JSON introduction side, so let's on XML side, we'll talk about some options. So some points about XML. If I want to say that, if I'm going to write an XML today, so main purpose of XML is two. One is we use XML document to store details. Another second point is that we use XML to transfer details. These are two major requirements for which we generally go for XML or JSON. So let me say some points on XML. And XML is one type of vendor independent component. Vendor independent component, right? Now it's a standard. Standard means all the vendor will use XML, and it is not vendor dependent. It is vendor independent component according to W3C consortium. Anyone can use XML. So for this, you don't need any license or anything else. Anyone can use XML to store the details as well as transfer the details from one server to another server, right? Okay. Now document, we use emp.xml syntax, and you can store the details inside an XML, right? So let's say get some more details on XML, not only this related to XML. We have some of the technical term like schema we should know, then namespace we should know, then XSLT we should know, XPath. What are those things? Right? Then we should know. We should talk about XQuery. So these are some of the things that comes in XML. All right. So we should know about them, because if you're working on web service, on SOAP-based web service, then you need these things. So these basic things we should know. Should understand these basic things. Why, what? Then it will help us in web service communication. Right? Okay. So just see this XML one by one. I'm coming here using slide. Idea behind namespace and why we need namespace and those details. So the purpose of namespace is it is used to differentiate same name element. Is used to differentiate same name element. What does it mean by this? Is that so we write one small XML document. Let's see. Let's see. This is a simple XML document. Employees. So assume this XML document name is emp.xml, right? And tab here. This is an employee. And this is an employee's root element I have closed. Fine. I've not written parsing instruction. It's a simple employee.xml file, right? We're talking about namespace. See, I'm going to focus here much more. I'm going to spend here much more time so that when you come to web version, and 1.1 version, you'll find with some of the product release that came from Oracle or IBM, and the XML version very specific to some of the product. You'll not get XML 1.1 version with everyone. So with some of the product release, you'll find XML 1.1 version, and that is very specific to some R&D specification that I can say the time being. So most of the scenario will always go for XML 1.0 version always. We'll go for XML 1.0. That I can say here. Now here I'm talking about the namespace. In the namespace, it is used to differentiate same name element. So what does it mean by this? Is I'm writing two XML document. This is my emp.xml document. Another XML document. Let me write. Copy and Control V. Let's see, the XML document name is dpt.xml, and this is my root element, departments. I'm starting on root element, then I should close this. Control V, sorry, C and Control V. If I'm starting a root element, I should close it, Control V. And this is my DPT. And if I'm starting in DPT, I should close it. DPT. ID name. Assume this department ID is 20 and department name is right. Okay. Now, if you see this, both the XML document, in both the XML document, emb.xml root element called departments. Now, in both the XML file, you'll find ID and name. So you find here that the employee ID is 1001 and name is Raj. Whereas for department ID is now from human mind, it is very easy to understand that this is an employee details and this is an department details. That means this is an employee ID and name, and this is an department ID and name. But how I want software to understand that this is an employee details and this is a department details? Because both the element name is same. You see here, both the element name is same, and both the element name is same, but here it is saying employee ID and employee name. Here it is saying department ID and department name. So how I can distinguish same name element? This same name element can be available in the same document or in different document. Both is possible. The question is that how I can distinguish same name element. Human mind, very easy to understand, but how software will understand that this is an employee details, the department details, right? How to distinguish? So to distinguish or differentiate same name elements, we came with the concept called namespace, right? So how it is? So the see here, namespace, we write like this way with an attribute called XMLNS. Using this XMLNS, using this attribute, we defined namespace. Fine. So equal to is atos.net/area. Right? We can write or slash Bangalore like that. So I have written here some string, right? So that string is nothing but the value of XMLNS. That string is nothing but the value of XMLNS attribute, right? So this type of notation is called URL notation, namespace. Same things I can write here, XMLNS. Same things we can write here. XMLNS equal to, right, then this, and then like this I can write this type of symbol. This is one type of a string, right? So this type of symbol is called URN type. So whatever it is, both is a particular value of your attribute called XMLNS. So this type of namespace declaration is called default namespace. Default namespace. Now this default namespace, we can use for your XML document. How? You see here, I can use this default namespace. This one, Control C for your element. Generally, we use the root element like this, or this default namespace. I can use Control C for your root element here like this. So I've used the default namespace with the particular attribute XMLNS that has the namespace value. I can use it. This is called default namespace. Default namespace will come in URL or URN notation. Both these together is called URI. So I can write the things. But if I use default namespace, is it successful to differentiate same name elements? No. Using default namespace, we cannot distinguish same name element. If I want to distinguish same name element, then I have to use another namespace declaration that is called prefixed namespace. In the prefixed namespace, we'll see the prefixed namespace. Control V. What we'll do, we'll create a prefix. Prefix means for EMP, I can use a particular prefix colon E. E is a prefix for EMP. I can write like this, right? For department, I can create a particular prefix. D is a user defined. So I can create a particular prefix for my element, and how it is like this. Just see here. I can use a prefix for emp.xml colon E, and using this E is called a prefix, and using this here I want to point each and every element. Control C, Control V, Control V, Control V. I can use this prefix. I can use this prefix to point out each and every element, right? Like this. Same, I can use one prefix called D for the second document, D. Using this D prefix, I can point each and every element, D colon, like this. Control C. See here, I'm going to point each and every element using this prefix. Like this. So if you see in this example, I have used the prefixed namespace, and once I have used the prefixed namespace, now I can distinguish same name element. It becomes E colon ID and it becomes D colon ID. Now using this prefixed namespace, I can distinguish same name element. Right? Using prefixed namespace, I can distinguish same name element, whether it is the same XML file or different XML file. We can differentiate same name element, and that is the purpose of using namespace. Namespace, it is used to distinguish or differentiate same name element, and that we have defined here, right? Yes, we can distinguish same name element with the fixed namespace, right? So this is the purpose of using namespace. Namespace value is nothing but one fixed string. For the timing, I want to say it's a fixed string. It will use for different requirement. I'll come into that. It's a fixed string that fixed string is defined the organization or in which project you're going to work, and that string everyone have to use in their project. Okay, the so that string is generally used to transfer the data from one document to XML another document. So we'll come into that one by one. So we're talking about in this slide. Another component is their schema. Schema. So what is the idea behind the schema? Is that if I have an XML document, if I have an XML document like emp.xml, so or dpt.xml, assume emp.xml contain the details of 100 emp, right? And department.xml contain content of 20 department. Fine. So if you are using a simple XML document like this, then no use in the sense you cannot use your XML document in your enterprise level application till the time you are not providing the grammar for your XML. Means in your XML document, the element that you are using, which element is going to take what type of data, its data type, its length, and what type of data you're going to insert inside each and every element, that grammar I should define. Then only your enterprise level application will access your XML document. How to define that grammar? That grammar is nothing but the schema. So schema is nothing but grammar of your XML document. How we can define the grammar? That grammar is defined with the help of emp.xsd or dpt.xsd, this file. This is the grammar, how we can define. So if you have emp.xml file, then you should provide the grammar for your XML file, then only it will be acceptable in your enterprise level application. Similarly, if you have a department.xml file, you should provide the grammar for your department.xml file. Right. So this grammar you have to define for your XML file, or right. Okay. So how this grammar look like? So just see here. DTD, document type definition. Now you don't use any DTD except legacy application. So for your EMP, you can write emp.dtd or dpt.dtd, but this DTD type grammar is not used anymore. It is used only for the legacy APIs. If you are interacting with any legacy application, legacy APIs, you'll find it is coming with DTD syntax. But in today's environment, any project or any product released by any organization, they don't go for DTD implementation. Why? Because they have lots of limitation. These DTDs cannot distinguish between different data types. Whatever data types, you cannot distinguish between string, double, number, int, float. They cannot distinguish. Everything they make it as a has PC data, and there is no concept of namespace in DTD. So nowadays we don't use DTD. Whatever project you are dealing with, everywhere we use schema as a grammar, right? So we should go for a schema only. You talk about a schema only here. What is the idea when XSLT? What is the idea? Control C, XSLT, right? What is the idea behind XSLT? So XSLT full name is XML Style Sheet Language Transformation. XSLT full name is Style Sheet Language Transformation. So what does it mean? Assume I'm just writing what is the idea behind this. emp.xml that contain the details about 1000 emp employee, right? It contains the details about 1000 employee, right? And I have another document emp dpt.xml that contain the details, the dpt.xml that contain the details about 200 department, right? And we have another file. Let's see, its name is location.xml, and this location.xml contain approximately 100 location details, right? Okay. Now all are 3 XML files we have, right? Now what I want, based on our requirement, we want to create one XML file from all these 3 XML file. Let's see, it is emp details .xml. Create an XML file from all these 3 XML file about an employee ID, whose employee ID is emp ID equal to 1001. So for 101, so I have to create an XML file. Okay, I want to create an XML file, and that XML file contain employee ID, details, and those employees. So from this 3 XML file, I'm going to get one XML file. From this 3 XML file, I'm going to get another XML file. How I'll do it? Not only XML, try to get HTML also. So how I'll do it? So this process is called XSLT. This converting, creating one XML document from another XML document is called XSLT. Style sheet language transformation. This process is called XSLT. So how I'll do it? This process will need another file to create. That file name is emp dp location dot xsl. So we'll use one XSL file, and that is going to create one XML file from multiple XML file, right? So how this XSL file is going to create one XML file from multiple XSL file? How it will do it? So this XSL will use some of the language. Its name is XPath, or you can use XQuery. Okay, so this is an language that the XSL file is this language to create one XML file from multiple XML file. So what is this? Same like, what I'll do is SQL. Using SQL, I'm going to retrieve the details from the database. Same like that, we use XPath. Same like that, we use XPath or XQuery to retrieve the details from your XML node. Same like that, we will use XPath or XQuery to retrieve the details from the XML node. Correct? Okay. So this XQuery is an advanced superset of XPath, you can say. So most of the scenario, XPath will deal with XML document and XQuery will deal with in XML file itself, but there is some lots of inbuilt support is there for XQuery. It is slightly advanced than XPath, and right. But both we can use to retrieve the details from your XML node with the help of XSL, and you can create one XML document from multiple documents. This complete process is called XSLT, XML style sheet language transformation. Right. So if you need more details on XPath, you can go to the documentation. There is different XPath syntax. Is there XQuery syntax? Is there? You can go to the advanced part. Fine. Okay. So these things are, we should need the basics idea about the technical terms that we used in XML, because we are going to use those terms in our next step. That's why I thought let me talk about them. Right. Okay. Then another component we talked about. How we can exchange data in XML web service communication, that is called JSON. Talked about another component, right? JSON. Right? JSON. So this we can exchange the data. Similarly, we can exchange the data using JSON also. We can exchange the data using XML. Now I'm talking about can exchange the data using JSON also. So what are the features of JSON? Now the question comes, I can exchange the data using XML, I can exchange the data using JSON, then what I'll use, XML or JSON, which is best? Those questions will come, right? So best is JSON, better than XML, because in the future development, how it is moving is using JSON. So JSON is much more acceptable than XML. There is some reason is there. There is some reason. So we should know about some differences between XML and JSON, and why JSON, why not XML? What is the difference between them? In which scenario I should go for XML, and in which scenario I should go for JSON? These some details we should be clear about, right? Right. So first of all, if I'm going to write a simple XML document, how I have written XML document, if you see here, I'm writing emp.xml. So when I'm writing a simple XML file, what I'm going to write, when I'm writing a simple XML file, then I'm writing the XML file like this. When writing a simple XML file, how I'm going to write a simple XML file? I'm going to write like this, copy and paste. This is how I'm going to write a simple XML file, right? And not only that, it will be acceptable in the industry. In your enterprise level application, you have to add emp.xsd. Then only you can work. You have to provide a grammar for this, right? Okay. But when you talk about JSON, same things. If I'm going to write using a JSON, how I'm going to write using JSON? So JSON will always take the value as a key value pair. Key value pair in the sense, first is ID. Key, what its value? 1001. Then key name, what its value? Raj. Right. So string, I can use double quotes. Right. Enter, close. That's it. Done. This is my JSON object. Done. Whereas in the XML, I have to write a simple XML document like this. Right. So the see this JSON object will always take the value as a key value pair. How to identify what type of data types it is? JSON has its own compiler. It can identify based on your declaration what type of compiler you're going to use. It is based on JavaScript object notation. So how you are using the data types in JavaScript, same data types is used here. And in case of JSON object, when you declare, you don't have to mention it as a separate data types. Based on your declaration, it will identify it as an int or a string. It will take the value as a key value pair, right? Okay. Now this JSON object, if you're writing particular JSON object, you don't have to provide any grammar. Writing XML document, you have to provide the grammar. Else, you cannot use your XML document in enterprise level application. And the element that there is no grammar for your JSON. The XML document that you are writing, XML elements must be well formed. There is one property, right? Well formedness for your XML document, right? Right. But there is no concept of well formedness in your JSON, right? There's no grammar. You don't have to define any grammar for your JSON file. Combinations of key value pair, that is JSON object, right? Key value pair, I can store the details. So see here, just to familiar ourselves with the JSON idea, and so that I can work on next web service part, right? Okay, so we got some idea, right? Okay. So let's is the flow that I'm following. We got some input on XML and JSON introduction, right? So let's get some basic details about web service. What is web service? What is the idea behind web service? Let's get some details about it, right? Okay. Control C.